So the next song is to be sung by Princess Amneris, who will eventually rule all of Egypt. But she begins the show with somewhat shallower interests about fashion. So today, we thought Josh would actually play our favorite fashion-minded princess. So here's my strongest suit. Josh, start your engine.
In life, one has to face a huge assortment of nauseating fads and good advice. There's health, fitness, diet, and deportment, and other pointless forms of sacrifice. Conversation wit, I am a doubter. Manners charm, they're no way to impress. So forget the enemy, observe the outer. For I am what I wear and how I dress.
Sing it, Josh!
Oh, now I believe in looking like your time on earth is cooking. Whether polka dotted, striped, or even checked.
Oh, I love check. Do you like check?
With some glamour guaranteeing every fiber of my being is displayed with quite remarkable effect. From your cradle via trousseau to your deathbed, your own view. So never compromise, accept no substitute. I would rather wear a barrel than conservative apparel. For dress has always been my strongest suit.
No one does that one better, Josh. I now want to talk about Tarzan and how we went about bringing that to the stage. You know, Tarzan has had this extraordinary journey. You know, it begins with that beautiful film, with that fantastic animation deep canvas effect as we went with Tarzan through the jungle, and of course, the glorious score by our dear friend Phil Collins. And putting it on stage, we had lots of different ideas. One of them was to actually put it in a tent and make it sort of like a circus, but then we said, no, let's make it smaller and play it more intimate and more emotional. And we did that, and it ran for about 1.5 years on Broadway, which wasn't long enough, I might add. But in fact, it's had an extraordinary life abroad. We changed it somewhat, we expanded it, had a huge successful run in the Netherlands. It's been playing for 5 years already in Hamburg, and this fall moves actually to Stuttgart. So European audiences have embraced it in an extraordinary way. Now, it's fair. We completely struggled with this one on so many levels, but there's two things we got absolutely right from the very beginning. One was delivering in a very theatrical way that glorious score by Phil Collins, and the other one was our fantastic cast, two of whom we have here on stage. So we're going to do two numbers from Tarzan. The first one is a song you know, it's You'll Be in My Heart, but you know that as the song from early in the movie. But in fact, in the stage show, after Tarzan decides that he's going to put on the human clothes and go be with Jane, he's confronted by his mother, Kala. And they reprise the song in a very dramatic way in the second act of the show. And since Tarzan and Kala are with us here today, this is You'll Be in My Heart from Tarzan.
It'll be alright. Just take my hand, hold it tight. I will protect you from all around you. I will be here, don't you cry. For once so long, you seem so strong. My arms will hold you, keep you safe and warm. This bond between us can't be broken. You cry, 'cause you'll be in my heart. Yes, you'll be in my heart. From this day on, now and forevermore. Don't listen to them, 'cause what do they know? We need each other to have to hold.
Of completing the stage score for Tarzan, Phil needed to create a song for Jane, something that she could express her inner life with. And he was thinking about this idea that for the first time in her life, she's fallen in love. For the first time, she's having feelings. And so he created for Jane a song called For the First Time. And Bob Crowley, who directed Tarzan and also designed it, but who directed it, loved the song, but he said, there's something missing. And Phil said, what? And so Bob played the demo for Phil. And Bob, who's not really a recognized singer as such, sang a counterpoint line for Tarzan to sing with Jane, and Phil fell in love with it. And so in our design studio was birthed a beautiful duet for Tarzan. So this is for the first time sung by Jane, which Ashley will essay the role of Jane. And Tarzan, since he knows the lyrics, it's Josh. Josh will cover that. This is For the First Time.
This affection I feel is hard to understand. It's not the way my world is changing. Wherever I turn, it's his face I see, looking back at me, and in my eyes I can't disguise this affection I feel is getting the better of me. Oh, for the first time, it's not a dream. Oh, for the first time, it seems so real, and I want to remember every moment that I'm there beside him as he gently takes my hand. So here I am feeling things I've never felt, and all because of him. My world is changing.
She's turned my whole world upside down.
Everything that I do to catch his eye. Oh, and I won't deny, I stand here guilty.
I wonder if she feels the same.
'Cause this affection I feel has gotten the better of me. Oh, for the first time, can this be love? Oh, for the first time, I know it's real, and with him I feel so completely, uniquely like no other, as he gently holds me close. But wait a minute, what am I saying? I never know. Scale so grand, 'cause these emotions racing through me. Tell me I must, tell me I can. I'm finding who I am. 'Cause for the first time, I have no doubt. For the first time, I understand. For the first time, I realize all the things that happen. Well, are happening to me every time I'm with this man. Every time I'm with, could I be this man?
We have a great screen musical written especially for the screen. Do any of you feel there's a chance that the process could be reversed, that Mary Poppins might eventually be adapted for presentation on the Broadway stage?
Without a doubt.
But I don't see how it can, because Mr. Disney did so many incredible things in the picture which would be impossible on stage.
Oh, yes, but I'm almost sure that it's going to become a classic story.
Oh, I agree there.
Someday it'll be done in the theater. I'm just sure of
It's
it.
as classic as Alice in Wonderland
Or Peter Pan.
Wizard of Oz, any of them.
I think it will be done on the stage. This is going to make Mary Poppins as famous as the Wizard of Oz.
So that was a 1965 radio interview where they were speculating, of course, our dear Dick Van Dyke and Julie Andrews were speculating about the idea of could Mary Poppins ever be put on the stage. And of course they were in the interview focusing on the physical production issues. How would you ever do it? The irony was that wasn't the problem. The problem was we didn't have the rights to do it on stage. Go figure, Walt never thought we needed to be in the theater business, so he didn't acquire the theatrical rights. And a curious thing happened. Sir Cameron Mackintosh who is, you know, without a doubt the most successful producer of the latter half of the 20th century, and remarkable, you know, Phantom of the Opera, Les Mis, Cats, Miss Saigon, on and on and on. You know, he's had some success and he's doing all right. While Alan Menken was down in Houston in the fall of 1993, working on Beauty and the Beast, no one actually realized that we were starting the theater business. So Cameron was in London working on the 93-year-old Pamela Travers. And he actually got the theater rights to do Mary Poppins. But he said to her, I will only do it if Disney will give me the music to make it happen. So of course he thinks we'll just call up somebody and we'll give, he's the most successful producer and he's, you know, hot shot and all that. So naturally we're going to give him the rights to do it. But by this time, we already had Mary Poppins on our list, and we thought, well, since you had the theater rights, you know, here's $5, why don't you give those back to us? Because, you know, they're rightly ours. And we had this little problem, which you will actually learn about when you see the brilliant film coming out this fall, Saving Mr. Banks, because you will see the interesting challenge that Walt had to go through with Pamela Travers, and you will discover that she created the books, but the story is unique to Disney, right? That was unique to the film. And so there was a lot of argy-bargy between us and Cameron, and then in 2001, I flew over to London to see him and said, what did you actually want the story to be on Mary Poppins? And he said, you know, you're the first person to ask me that. And we each pulled out an outline, and we each had the same outline for the show. And thus, we began working together to bring Poppins to the stage. It was a triumph in London. It went on to great success on Broadway, played for 6 years. It just closed recently. And now it's playing all around the world, including in Mexico, where it is a very passionate production, which I really like. But of course, Mary Poppins is all about that extraordinary music by the beloved Sherman Brothers, and of course, my dear friend Dick Sherman is sitting right here. We've actually spent much of this spring and summer working together in Chicago on the stage version of Jungle Book. The man's still kicking, dragging out songs, beating people up, making it work. Adding to the Sherman Brothers, we added 2 songwriters, George Stiles and Nancy Drew, very young, successful British songwriters who came in and reinterpreted some of the Sherman music and added some songs of their own. And we're going to play a little bit of Mary Poppins for you now. And we're going to start with a song that is by Stiles and Drew, but absolutely in the fashion of a Sherman Brothers song. And then we're going to weave through some more music from Mary Poppins. So of course, since she's here, the original Mary Poppins on Broadway.
By the time the wind is blown, the weather being around, I'll show you if I can. No matter what the circumstance, for one thing I'm renowned. My character is speak, sport, speak, and span. I
hope you'll stay.
Each virtue virtually lose newfound. Each trait is great
And painfully sound.
I'm practically perfect, and here's my aim. By the time I leave here, you all will be the same. You'll be practically perfect.
Practically perfect.
You will be practically perfect in every way.
All that it takes is a spark. Then something plain as a park becomes a wonderland. All you have to do is look anew, then you understand why it's a jolly old day with Mary. Mary makes your heart so light.
Oh, really?
When the day is grey and ordinary, Mary makes the sun shine bright.
You do talk nonsense.
Though happiness is blooming all around her, the daffodils are smiling at the
Oh, I haven't the faintest idea
dawn.
what
When
you're
Mary holds your hand, you feel so grand. Your heart starts beating like a big brass band.
Oh, you've got a brass for all of us.
Oh, it's a jolly holiday with Mary. No wonder that it's Mary that we love.
Oh, it's a jolly holiday with you, but gentlemen like you are few. Though you're just a diamond in the rough, but underneath your blood is blue. You'd never think of pressing your advantage. Forbearance is the hallmark of your breed. A lady needn't fear when you are near. Your sweet gentility is crystal clear. Oh, it's a jolly holiday with you, but a jolly, jolly holiday with you.
Now as the ladder of life has been strung, you might think a sweep's on the bottom most rung. Though I spends me time in the ashes and smoke, in this whole wide world there's no happier bloke.
Chin chimney, chin chin chimney. A sweep is as lucky can be. Chin chimney, chin chiroo. Good luck will rub off when he shakes hands with you.
Oh, blow me a kiss,
But
and that's lucky too.
each day to the steps of St. Paul's, the little old bird woman comes in her own special way to the people she calls. Come buy my bags full of crumbs. Come feed the little birds, show them you care, and you'll be glad if you do. Their young ones are hungry, their nests are so bare. All it takes is tuppence from you. Feed the birds, tuppence a bag, tuppence a bag. Feed the birds, that's what she cries, while overhead her birds fill the skies. Her words are simple and few. Listen, listen, she's calling to you. Feed the birds, tuppence a bag, tuppence, tuppence.